Paltrocast. Good morning or good afternoon. Which one is it for you?
This would be, I have no idea what time it is. Is it close to noon? I think it would be right down the middle.
Whatever time it is, thank you for taking the time. And the Dirty
Yeah, of
South
course.
is the latest and the greatest from you and with you.
Oh,
How much of
thank you.
Dion is there in Shane West, the human being?
All of it. No, that would be pretty bad. That'd be a little dangerous. No, I'm not personality wise, almost all of it. That's what I wanted to kind of bring to him, and then that the character is simply, at least my opinion, is simply just misunderstood, and has been through a lot. All of us around the world, we've all individually and collectively been through a lot, including myself, and just being able to bring some of my past to him. But the similarities in there, but they really go from the fact of, all right, well, let's use that charm, whatever charm I can have, hopefully in reality, I don't know, and bring it to
I say lots of charm.
Dion. Okay, I'll take it. Bring it to Dion, and then really hope, because in the heartbeat of the story is the romance, or the burgeoning romance, between Dion and Sue, that we're able to have that connection between Dion and Sue, and show that they are kindred spirits, and we may not know why they were brought together or what brought them together, but they were, and that sticking together is something that is important.
And what was your gateway into this project? You're obviously past the traditional audition part of your life, but sometimes you find out, oh, the producer was a friend, the director was a friend. Oh, this co-star roped me in. What was your case situation for this with the Dirty South?
Well, I mean, it was sent to me, and in general, a lot of times you get I guess I'm speaking for everyone in the industry, but you get an email that's got this, the script, the log line, who's connected as potentially as actors, the writer, director, producers, location, all that kind of stuff, like when's it going. A lot of times people just look immediately at when's it starting.
Right.
And for this one, right off the bat, the name, the location, Dermot Mulroney was attached, who I was a big fan of and always wanted to work with. And the log line, the basis of a simple story, connected me immediately. So beyond then, it's obviously reading it, talking to the director, in this case Matthew Yerby, where in Louisiana is this filming? Since I'm a Louisiana guy,
Baton Rouge,
yeah. Well, yes, I would have. No offense to Natchitoches, but Baton Rouge would have made me jump up and down. But no, being able to do all those things, and then let's see. Now the most important thing is when you're putting these smaller films together. Usually they're the best written films. Usually they're the more interesting from an actor's perspective film. And now it's just about putting the correct cast together and being able and hoping that you capture the feel of the city and you capture the tone and all those things. It's always a crapshoot. But in this case, all of those talking points, all of those interesting points immediately made me excited to, sit down and have a Zoom.
Got it. Well, a remarkable thing about your career is how you've been able to combine music into what you do as an actor. I love what you did related to the Germs. I like that you
Oh,
were
thank
able to
you.
sneak onto a couple of soundtracks under different
Yeah,
project names and all that. Is anything going to
sure.
happen from you, musically speaking, in the future?
I don't know. It's something that I moved to Nashville, Tennessee. So now, and I'm 45 years old. So the joke, or not the joke, but I guess the storyline would be, the reality storyline would be, okay, does he transition into country now that he's old, and like all that kind of stuff. But I don't, yeah, I don't know. If I did, it would certainly be more outlaw country. It would certainly be, more old school. But it's something that I still have the band Twilight Creeps whenever I can get into doing that with them. But I don't know. It's a new transition in my life in general, career in general. So I'm figuring it out. I am writing. I just don't know what to do with the songs yet. They're a little in between. They're not country. They're not punk rock enough. They're not. So maybe, I don't know what you call it, Americana. I don't know. There's like certain ways that you can go around it, and I guess I'll get to it at some point.
You call it Shane West music if you have your own sound. I think
There you go. That's perfect. Or just West. Yeah, I don't know.
just
Keep it that way.
well, a compliment question, then I let you go. The compliment is
Okay.
with the germs and what you accomplish with all that. You are one of the
Mhm.
few people where we don't go, oh yeah, that actor has a band. You go, oh, he's also an actor. That was a complimentary kind of situation where we'd have to go, yeah, he's pretty good for an actor. So take that compliment right there. And
Hey, I will great t-shirt, by the way, and which I wanted to say in the beginning, and I will totally take that as a compliment. Thank you. It was an incredible experience that went, my God, 5 or 6 years. I just went and saw Pat Smear recently for his wife's 50th birthday, and we were able to reconnect. I think there's a CD he wants to, which is honestly pretty amazing, that he wants to release, of all of us performing. I believe it was when it was called the Galaxy in Orange County. I can't remember what it's called now.
the one in
But
Santa Ana, the Galaxy Concert Theater.
yes,
Nice.
I
Okay.
believe it was called the Galaxy at the time. It's a tragedy because I played it again in its new name, and I can't even think of what the name is now. But a couple of them, something from the vault, like something, we were trying to release some stuff and see how chaotic we sounded, but doing the things that we wanted to do that were different, obviously, than when Darby was around. Being able to, hear some of the lyrics, being able to hear, being able to see things sped up, and it was there was some cool stuff out there, and it was a hell of an experience, and I wouldn't change it. I got to write a book about it at some point.
I'd
But
love to see that. But in the meantime, I'm going to scrap that last question and say thank you for your time. IMDb has a lot of upcoming projects for you. So looking forward to
sure,
getting you on another junket where we can talk about more stuff. But in the meantime,
absolutely,
thanks for being you.
no problem. Oh, thank you. Thanks for
All right.
having me.
Paltrocast.
Sadie, how's your day going aside from answering the same questions over and over and over again?
It's going pretty good. I'm enjoying it. Thank you very much.
Glad to hear that. And we were connected because of At the Gates. I've had the pleasure of speaking with one or two of your castmates so far. Sounds like you filmed in September 2021. Is that correct?
Yeah, September, November, something like that. Yeah, 2 years ago. Crazy.
So COVID era film, but people finally learned how to film right. Got it. So how much of you is there in this character from At the Gates?
Um, I think there's always a little bit of me in every character that I play. I think that it wasn't too difficult to tap into Lauren, although we're not super similar. I can kind of empathize always with a teenage girl who's kind of in her own little world. I think that's what's interesting about Lauren is that she's so sheltered and she's so lives in her little privileged bubble. And she just I think is kind of shocked when this experience happens with Anna and Nico coming to live with them and hide in their basement, and that kind of opens her eyes and expands her world and her perspective on things, and she realizes that like the world doesn't revolve around her and there's a lot more going on outside of her little bubble. And I think it's a very important moment in her life. And if she was a real person, it would greatly affect her for the rest of her life, I think. So I think I've had experiences like that growing up when I was exposed to certain things, or as your brain develops, I guess you kind of
Right.
greater perspective on the world and on people and what they're going through.
Had you worked with any of the cast or crew before being cast in this one?
No. Mm-mm.
Miranda gave the same answer, that this was her first time with everyone and everything. So for you, what drew you into At the Gates?
I really just love the story. When I read the script, I knew the story was strong. I love a psychological thriller. I love something that's like suspenseful and kind of like when you can't trust your characters. I think that's so fun. But I also just loved that there's this amazing heart-wrenching story going on at the same time. It's kind of genre bending, and I love a drama in that sense. I loved the dynamic of Nico and his mom, and how beautiful that relationship was. And Vanessa and Ezekiel did an amazing job portraying that. And that's the heart of the film for sure. So it's just a story that I really wanted to be a part of. So I'm grateful that Augie let me.
Augie. Okay, so Augustus, once you get to know Augustus, he becomes Augie. There you go. So you mentioned the term genre bending. And of course, your credits are very diverse. I mean that in a fantastic way. I don't know how many people can pull off At the Gates and Kim Possible and the Goldbergs, etc. Now, when you started out, did you want to do a little bit of everything, or are you a comedic person that accidentally fell into drama?
I think I'm more so a dramatic person. I love a drama. I don't know. I've always been a drama queen, I think. But you need comedy in your life, like you do. I love to sit down and watch comedies. So I don't want to get stuck in, doing one thing. I want to do it all. I just love storytelling in general, and there's room for it everywhere. We need comedy, and we need lighthearted movies to get us through the day. And then we also need these impactful stories and more dramatic movies that really like make an impact on the world. So there's both. I want both.
That makes sense. And when people look you up, it usually says award-winning actress and singer. Is there anything coming up for you on the musical front?
No, I don't really have the desire to be a singer. I think that maybe I would do like a musical movie or something. I grew up doing theater, so maybe I'll go back to that one day. I do love music in my personal life, but it's probably mostly going to stay in my personal life. I don't think I'm going to stick to acting for now, and maybe producing.
You never know. Auto-tune does wonders when you're skeptical about how good you can be, right?
So yeah.
Well, two quick questions and then I'll let you go. And the first one, we'll do substitute if you're not allowed to answer this. Do we know what project is next for you after At the Gates, or do we just have to wait and see due to embargoes and all that?
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, but hopefully some fun stuff. I'm excited to get back to work.
Okay, substitute question here. When you're not busy with work, what's the number 2 hobby / passion?
Right now it's mostly any form of like visual physical art. But right now it's pottery. I've been really into pottery for the last year or so. Have my own pottery wheel at home. I've been really getting into it. It's really fun. It's really therapeutic, and especially with the strike going on, I need some sort of creative outlet, I think.
And this is not the last question, but is there a way to see your pottery? Is there a Pottery Sadie Instagram?
There's not, but I'll probably post my pottery on Instagram at some point. I feel like I should, because it has become a big part of my life. So
eventually we'll get the museum touring exhibit as well of the pottery.
yes, all my sculptures.
And then the last question, obviously At the Gates is the best movie of the year, obviously, but any other recommendations? What's the second best movie or film that we should be checking out in the Paltrowitz household?
Well, I will say independent films in general. Anytime you can support an indie filmmaker or film, that's always amazing. Especially movies like this that came from a very small budget, and you have to fight tooth and nail to get press, and you have to fight tooth and nail to get any sort of release. Anything you can do to support an indie is always helpful. So buy your tickets.
Stay indie. Well, thank you for your time. Congratulations on the film, and really looking forward to what's coming next for me in the near future, Sadie.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Paltrocast. Thank you for having me. It's so great. It's so great to meet you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Your show.
Congrats on your new record, the expanded edition of the record. How long was that in the works for?
Thank you. That was in the works since the last record came out last September. I knew I wanted to do something more with the pieces. I love that record. I feel so proud of that record, and it feels so exciting, and I'm so honored to have other versions of the record come out with remixers and orchestral expansions, and I just feel so honored to have other renditions of the pieces out in the world. It's exciting.
Part of my ignorance here, is the correct title of it Exclamation Point? How do you say it?
Yeah, Exclamation is how I pronounce it. Just because to me that signifies a shift of tone, a change of tone or conversation. Because the harp, so many people expect the harp to sound a certain way, and
right.
to me, that signifies, maybe other people hearing the harp in a new way, or giving it a new sonic narrative. So I'm so happy to hopefully have people feel something different, a shift when they hopefully hear the album.
Sure. Was the harp the second instrument you played? Because the reason I asked that, I find that most harpists start off on piano first.
That's absolutely true. Yes. And that's the same for me as well. I had a piano background and vocal background a little bit when I was a kid, but they had a little harp in my elementary school, and I just was so drawn to it. It was so just magnetic in its just incredible lushness, and it was so exciting to me. So I went over and I plucked it and I played it, and I fell in love with the sonority. And yeah, so absolutely, you're correct in that, where it was the second instrument technically.
Yeah. Do you have harp endorsements? How does that work? Because I know how guitar endorsements work, but who are the harp people?
The harp people are Kamak harps. You got, it depends on the harp company and who makes the harp that you play. I have an incredible blue harp that I do a lot with, where I attach different technologies and pedal and effects and things like that, which is this amazing instrument made by Kamak Harps in France. And they've been very kind in supporting me. And it's really cool. There's pickups on every string. There's 2 contact mics on the soundboard. And so you really can take it so many different places. I mean, you still have the full body of the soundboard and all the resonance of the strings. So combined with, things that you can put in like effects pedals, which to me is so fun and expansive. So I also have so lucky to be supported by like Roland and Boss and Earthquaker Devices and Walrus Audio. And
you have more, I have to interrupt, you have more endorsements than the average bassist or guitarist I talk to.
I feel so lucky that they're embracing like an alternative instrument, using their products, and they've been so supportive and like, put it in your music. What can this sound like? And they're very generous with, amps and like, let's put this through a JC 120, like just getting the harp to sound different sonically, taking it to places that I feel really excited to explore.
And one more harp question, part of my ignorance here, but a lot of people wrongly call a harmonica a harp. Does that bother you?
No, not at all, because I think that that is a term that harmonicists, I don't know, harmonic players,
I don't know,
experts. I think there's a brand, I'm not sure exactly actually what the technical term is, but that also it can be a harp as well. But yeah.
Now I know it does not bother you. Now,
not in the slightest.
You and your musical evolution, what was your gateway to more atmospheric ambient music?
Oh, great question. I think it was in London where I was living and studying and really exploring different types of ways to play the instrument. And I had an improvisation professor and a teacher that really expanded my world on that. You didn't have to play, because I come from such a traditional background, like a very, very, symphonic, very, very rooted in orchestral playing, that having it be not written or not like by the books was something that I wasn't necessarily accustomed to. It was what was on the page and you performed as wrote, but having that freedom and exploration was really exciting. And that I remember they had they're like, oh, let's take the color green and write a piece on the spot on this color. What does that sound like? What does that feel like? What does that convey to you? And I was like, what? And then I also took I had an engineering, audio engineering class elective that also really opened up my mind. And I started working in studios in London, like for Guy Chambers and Robbie Williams and Rufus Wainwright. And they were doing all sorts of technical things to my instrument, that, miking it certain ways. And, and so I just kind of was like, wait a second, there's so many things that if paired with this traditional instrument could take it to so many exciting places for me. I'm enthralled by the possibilities.
Right. Sometimes you're the side person, sometimes you're the featured artist, sometimes you're the collaborator, sometimes you are the focal point, a lot of different jobs and titles going on. And I mean that in a good way.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so thrilling to be a part of so much, and to find also my artistic voice within working with so many other people and in films and television. sort of exposed to a lot of different sonic realms where it was really helpful to take and pick and go, oh wow, I love the way that I feel when I play this, or I love the way this person's music makes me, it was just exciting to really dive deep and and just have a full sonic landscape to explore.
Makes sense. Well, this release is new to us,
Yeah.
the general public. It only came out a week and a half ago. For
Yes.
you, it's a retooling that you knew was going to happen of older work. So it's old to you. Are we allowed to know what's coming next from you?
Ooh, yes. Well, I'm really excited that I have a couple pieces coming out this month or November, for part of Mercury KX and Decca's release for around Christmas time. I have a Ryuichi Sakamoto cover coming November, which I'm so incredibly honored to have out. It's Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, which is one of my favorite pieces, and to honor him with this piece will be really, I'm so incredibly honored and excited to have that out in the world. And then I have an EP coming early next year, which I'm really excited about as well, and then a new record coming as well in the works. So there's already lots of music flowing, which is really exciting for me. So yeah, lots of stuff on the horizon, also live, and yeah, I'm excited.
Are all those new releases slated for Decca/Universal/Mercury, whatever you call that?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Mercury KX. Yep, I'm part of Decca and Universal. Yep, exactly.
Not everybody gets to be a major label artist after 2 albums. Usually they go, okay, the first one doesn't hit, we'll give you one more shot. You're done. In your case, it keeps going, which is a wonderful thing.
I'm so grateful to have such a loving home. They're so incredibly supportive, and also Mercury KX is at so many forefronts of pushing sonic boundaries. So I feel really, really lucky to be a part of that Mercury KX family for sure.
Got it. Well, 3 quick questions, and then I let you roam free. And the first one is, you are pretty prolific, and I mean that in a good way. A lot of artists, they just do the 1 album every 2 years, and that's it. A lot of activity on your end. But when you're not busy with the touring and recording lifestyle, where does your time usually go? You're kind of a mystery beyond the music. That's what I'm saying.
That's so funny because so much of myself is the music. So for me, it feels like I am literally I'm in there all the time, constantly. But I would say with family, I'm very, very devoted to my family, and also my incredible husband who produced and co-wrote the record with me. We collaborate a lot together, so it's been really fun to write musically with him. And so I spend a lot of music is my job, but it's also my passion and my hobby. So I tend to find myself wandering into the studio on days that I don't have things to do. I will just kind of wander in, and it's almost like meditation for me, because the harp is so lush and vast, and there's 47 strings. So even just like tuning my instrument kind of brings me present. And I find myself actually, to be honest, wandering in the studio and just kind of roaming free sonically, even on my off time, for sure.
So when you're not busy with music, you're busy with music.
That's right. Well, I wouldn't say busy with music. I would say free with music,
Sure.
I would say expansive with music, because it brings so much joy. I think my next record that I'm going to really explore like how music decorates time, and how it relates to that, and how we associate different things in different moments. So I would say I'm busy with music, but free with music in being present in what's happening in life. So it's definitely fun for me.
Got it. Next question is a stupid one, but a lot of people don't know. Is it Lara or Laura?
Lara, like Dr. Zhivago or Lara Croft Tomb Raider.
Because if you're talking to New Yorkers, they're probably going to go Lara.
I know.
Do you answer politely and nod, or when you get called out, or just go Lara?
It's funny. My whole life I've been called like Laura, Lara, Lara. Like it depends on where you're from, but I'm always like, oh, if they ask, I'll say it's Lara. And my last name is Somogyi, and which for a while before emojis came out, it was really difficult. I got Smoochy, but like Somogyi now is really easy to go like emoji.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Hey, as Darren.
I was gonna say, how about you?
Darren. No, it's Darren.
Darren.
That's it. Simply put. And then the last question for you before I let you go. So I've learned music is the hobby, The husband is very active in keeping the collaborations going. There's new music, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But you as a fan, what's the last concert that you went to for fun? Not because you were going to hop up on stage, not because you were collaborating and sussing
Yeah.
the person out.
Right.
You as a fan, what do you listen to?
The last concert I went to was Bon Iver, actually, in LA at I think it was the Forum or Inglewood. I think it was Inglewood. Yeah, and it was unreal. It was so incredible. I find myself listening to. I would say Bon Iver is my #1 top listened to artist lately. So I would say, yeah. But I'm a fan of all different genres of music. But I find myself listening to a lot of Bon Iver, neoclassical, of course. Not jazz, but R&B. I really love. I've played with her before, but I would go to her concert, or Miss Lauryn Hill, that kind of thing. So loved all that kind of music.
So I guess we're just going to have to not predict what's going to come next from you stylistically and just keep checking the Instagram, and that's how we'll know what's ready when it's ready.
Absolutely. Yeah. Instagram, and I'll do some announcements on my site and TikTok, everything. So yeah, absolutely. Lots to come. And I'm really excited and honored to have this release out. And I'm so excited to be on your show. I'm such a big fan of everything you do. It's an honor. Thank you so much for having me. You are super cool.
Paltrocast.
Gary, it is an absolute pleasure to be speaking with Stars Royalty. How many offices do you have amongst all the Stars properties?
I wish I had more than one, but yes, it's one. But I've enjoyed my time here. Or I wouldn't have stayed so long.
Right. Now, is it okay to call you a showrunner? Some people love the term, some people don't, and I'll tell you why.
Oh, that's I've never heard that before. But yeah, I love being a showrunner. I think I wear it as a badge of honor, actually. Yeah.
I find that some people don't love the term showrunner because it limits what they do. So in the case of the shows that you work on, you're actually writing episodes. Sometimes the showrunner is like a figurehead that just shows up and executive produces. In your case, you're very hands-on. So was there hesitation for you to become the showrunner, knowing that you're still a creative?
Oh, that's a great question, actually. It's funny. I think anybody getting into the television business, I think a lot of them aspire to be a showrunner. And I think the best showrunners start out as writers. And everything always comes back to the written page because you can't shoot anything that isn't on the page. And so I always come to any situation I'm involved in as a writer first. And then I'll put on my showrunner hat to get it made or to create the season. But I always come to every situation as a writer first. I have a love, like when I'm putting a season together and a writer writes an episode, we're all, as a writer's room, we're all invested in each other's episodes, right? We're creating the story, and then that story's handed off to a writer and they write a draft, and then I'll do a pass. And so I feel like as a showrunner, your sort of fingerprint is on everything. It's on casting, it's on costumes, it's on music, it's on the editing. I didn't know this until I became a showrunner, but one of my favorite parts of my job actually is in editing. Like I love spending time in the editing process with the editors.
Paltrocast.
Hey, yo, check 1, 2. This is Flavor Flav, and I don't disappear fast. Because right now, you are watching the Paltrocast.
Paltrocast.